Hello, good evening and welcome to Prime Business. Coming up, the Monetary Policy Committee of Ghana has increased the policy rate by some 300 basis points. Plus, the European Union ends pilot stage of the Ghana Employment and Social Protection Program for the past 4 years with investment of 26 million euros.
Project, but it's a very substantial project in the order of 26 million euros. It's also a complex project which lasted more than 4 years.
Also, addressing unemployment, Dean of University of Ghana Business School, Professor Justice Bawale, calls on corporate bodies to help undergraduates gain work experience for the job market.
What we think would make the conversation a bit more healthier is if we had businesses support us within this scheme.
I am Beverly Broohm. Please stay for details. Hello and welcome. Let's settle for the details now. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has increased the policy rate by some 300 basis points. This pegs the rate at 22%. This was one of the outcomes of the emergency monetary policy meeting held today to review developments in the economy. Now, let's get on Zoom and speak to Professor Lord Mensah to help us understand this further. Hello, sir. Good evening. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, good evening. If you can hear me loud and clear. Good evening to our listeners as well.
First off, let's take your immediate reaction to this development.
Yes, of course. I mean, the policy committee has no choice than to increase the rate by, the quantum of basis point, about 300 basis point. I mean, clearly it's to catch up with inflation. I mean, if you look at the inflation rate and you look at the structures of our interest rate, it will not be appetizing to invest in an environment of that sort. So looking at the difference, obviously, if you're an economic manager and you're taking a decision and you believe that there is excess, liquidity that you can mop up to tame down, the cities that are chasing, the few goods that you have, obviously you're going to increase the policy rate, and increasing the policy rate will feed into the interest rate structures because the policy rate forms part of what we call the Ghana reference rate, and together with treasury bills, obviously, is going to increase the Ghana reference rate and thereby increase the lending rate. So what is going to happen is that access to funds is going to be tough because in the end, loan prices are going to go up because this is going to be building up into interest rate. And then also, we're going to, see a situation where government bills are also going to go up. And so therefore, I think the belief is that Bank of Ghana believe that still there is excess liquidity in the system. But then me and you clearly know that there's no liquidity. And so that's a different ballgame altogether. But then, if you look at the statement, I think they've admitted that the monetary policy side can do something, controlling inflation, but there's more to do with the fiscal side, which has to do with, how to raise revenue and then also how to, spend to touch the nerves of the economy.
Look at the reserve requirements as well. Is it good or bad?
Yeah, of course, it's part of the mechanisms to mop up the excesses. If you increase the reserve requirement, you're saying that banks are supposed to keep more with the central bank instead of having, funds to give out as loans. So looking at the plan they have provided clearly tells you that they still want to go ahead to, mop up excess liquidity in the system.
But let me find out also, what about measures to improve the dollar support for the Bank of Ghana?
Of course, they made mention of the IMF program that we're going into, which is likely to bring in some dollars. And then also made mention of some, measures that they're putting in place with our export companies of gold and all those oil companies, so that at least, they can retain some dollars in the Ghanaian environment. So these are interim measures, but then medium to long term, we're looking out for the IMF program and how it goes.
Finally, Prof, will these measures bring about the needed confidence in the economy?
Well, it is not going to bring a confidence overnight, but then it's a gradual process. Where the inflation rate is about 31%. And the policy committee has never done anything like, increasing, policy rate by 30-something basis point. Inflation pressures may come from the fiscal side as well. So now that the monetary policy has announced, the increase in basis point, let's look at the structures that, the economic managers will also put in place to hold up the inflation, so that gradually we can have a convergent point between the inflation and then the policy rate, which will bring the confidence that we are looking out for. But it's not going to be an immediate confidence.
Prof, before I let you go, I want to find out, was this your expectation from the meeting? It
was. Even the basis point, I was looking at more than that. I was looking at the 500 basis point. But, 300 is a build-up. And the momentum that, the monetary policy rate normally gathers to go up are quite slow. The problem is that if it is coming down, it comes fast because of, policies that are rolled out every now and then. So it is a gradual process. And if you look at the history, we're not at a peak as, compared to somewhere 2016 and then 2012 thereabout. But I think for now, as it stands, we're building up gradually, and very soon we'll see a convergent point between inflation and then the policy rate.
Thank you so much, Professor Lord Mensah. Thank you so much for your time. Let's take a look at some other stories now. The European Union has so far invested 26 million euros in the Ghana Employment and Social Protection Program for the past 4 years. The Ghana Employment and Social Protection Program is an initiative aimed at contributing to inclusive and equitable growth by strengthening social protection and employment systems. Speaking at the closing conference of the program, Head of Cooperation of the EU delegation to Ghana, Massimo Mina, indicated that the pilot stage of the program, which focused on building skills, has been successful. There's more in the following report.
The Ghana Employment and Social Protection Program is a partnership initiative launched in 2018 by the European Union and the Government of Ghana to enhance social protection systems, improve employment policy management, strengthen training opportunities for the informal sector, and improve access to business development services. The pilot stage of the program ended this year. Speaking at the closing ceremony, Head of Cooperation of the EU delegation to Ghana, Massimo Mina, revealed that his outfit is taking a break to build the next cycle of the program.
This was a pilot project, but it is a very substantial project in the order of 26 million euros. It's also a complex project which lasted more than 4 years. I think that it really allowed to cover the key elements and the most important, some of the most important elements of our cooperation. It's a very ambitious, a very complex program. And we are now building for the next cycle of the program. And so we are entering as the European Union in a new cycle, the period 2021-2027, where we'll implement the neighborhood development and the international cooperation instruments.
Team leader for the technical advisory team for the Ghana Employment and Social Protection Program, Sharon Hall, highlighted some achievements of the program.
The biggest achievement that we have is the Productive Inclusion Programme that we have established. And we have trained 275 people, and we've also provided toolkits to those people in order for them to make a business and to ensure that they go forward. We'll also be supporting them in the future through the ILGS and through their regional councils to make sure that they get support and they can take their business forward and make sure that they do make a success of it.
Meanwhile, Director General of the Ghana TVET Service, Mausi Nudeko Awiti, reiterated that technical and vocational education and training is the country's best bet to addressing unemployment.
The GESP program is a very laudable one. That is what actually Ghana needs in this country. We have so many youth, so many abled people, the young ones, yet there's a lot of unemployment in the country, and the youth go about saying we don't have work to do, yet the work is actually there. It's only TVET that can give the answer. It's only TVET that is the strategic initiative to go about it.
The closing conference for the Ghana Employment and Social Protection Program was themed Strengthening Social Protection through Capacity Building, Productive Inclusion and Social Accountability.
The Precious Mineral Marketing Company has reaffirmed its commitment to making Ghana a responsible sourcing hub for gold. According to its managing director, Nana Akwesi Ewua, this is part of the government's effort to sanitize and streamline activities within the downstream sector of the precious minerals industry. Speaking to Joy Business at a cover workshop for licensed gold dealers, he noted that the provision of license to gold dealers will enhance their businesses.
A number of industry and sector initiatives in the gold sector seek to operationalize the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development due diligence guidance for responsible supply chains of minerals from conflict-affected and high-risk areas. Thus, according to Mr. Ewa, a provider must source gold of high integrity from trustworthy suppliers whilst considering environmental, social and governance criteria.
It's in line with government's objective to make Ghana a responsible sourcing hub. In our engagements today, I mentioned that we want to get to a place where, when it comes to responsible sourcing, we can tick the box when it comes to our nation. And in the broader scheme of things, responsible sourcing is essential in when you look at the entire maze when it comes to value addition. This government's objective is to promote value addition of our mineral resources, which is why you are seeing projects such as GIADEC, GISDEC, and the gold sector is not being left out. And in not being left out, you find that government is actively promoting refinery processes of our gold in Ghana.
Explained the incentives these local gold dealers will benefit from the license meant to support their operations.
This is that when you engage them, they will tell you that whenever they sell their gold, they sell it at a discount. Number one incentive is that we will buy at spot price. So no discount, will give you competitive pricing and we'll buy it, LME price. We'll pay you for it. Again, the other incentive is that you obviate the risk of exporting and all the issues and the costs that come with exporting. So you obviate all of that. That is another incentive for them. And this one too is a matter of instant payment. You come, we assay the gold, we weigh it, and then payment is done instantly. It's not a matter of the current status quo where they send the gold, they have to wait for about 7 to 2 hours before it comes back. What it does is that it makes sure that there's liquidity for them, because this business is a liquidity business.
Industry and sectors initiatives work under the principle that responsible sourcing is everyone's responsibility.
Now, players in the oil and gas sector are calling on government to implement incentive schemes that will attract new investments into exploration. Speaking to Joy Business after launching the Made in Ghana Upstream Petroleum Industry Report, Chief Executive for the Upstream Petroleum Chamber, David Ampofo, hinted that industry has not seen any new agreement in the past few years with regards to exploration, a situation he explains will reduce the country's financial earning from the oil and gas sector.
The oil and gas industry in 2020 and 2021 recorded a decline in production, which coincided with price volatilities induced by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Ghana Upstream Petroleum Chamber is recommending to government to make some interventions through incentives for potential investors in order to revive activities in the sector. Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber, David Ampofo, also expressed worry over the delay in government approval for field development works in the sector.
Getting smaller and smaller, and there are many companies that have resources, and we have to attract people into Ghana for people to explore. If you don't explore, nothing happens. You have to remember, we're producing oil since 2010. If you all remember, it started 2010 with Jubilee, and then 10, then Sankofa. There've been no agreement since for the last maybe 4 or 5 years. So, and the profile is going down. You can see production is beginning to decline. So you need people to explore, start producing other fields, you know what I mean, so that we can keep going, because it's a key area for our economy. So that was one thing. The other thing we recommended was expedite the process, the speed from appraisal to development. They explore, then they find, then they have to appraise. Appraise means make a good assessment of what it is. Then you have to develop, put in infrastructure, because you're going to be drilling, and then you produce. It takes too long sometimes, that whole process. So we suffer from, how can we shorten that? How can we speed it up? So that it would be lovely to look at the coast of Ghana and see, like, timber concessions. These are concessions out in the sea, blocks. You see, they're all in the western region there. There's just a few of them. The rest of the coast is all empty.
The industry players also want government to review some of the fiscal regimes that give some relief to potential exploration companies that want to enter the sector. Joe Mensah is a senior vice president at Cosmos Energy.
Moment today that when we discovered oil and everything looked so positive and so good, we felt we were ready for prime time and therefore starting to scale up and asking for more. We need to move back. Just like when we had virgin land, places for people to work and gave very attractive to the newcomers that first came in, let's go back and revisit that and do similar things to attract people. As I said on the panel, make the bar low enough for people to go over. And once they come in and discover something, then you can ask for something more.
The maiden report by the Chamber lays out the current legal and regulatory policy framework for the upstream sector.
Now, Dean of the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Justice Bawale, is calling on corporate bodies to create opportunities for undergraduates to equip them with the necessary skills for the job market. According to him, it is important to help young people gain the needed working experience. Professor Bawale made the call at the launch of the school's 42nd Management Day celebration.
Speaking to Joy Business, Professor Bawale indicated that even though business education has transitioned beyond mere classroom to actual hands-on skills and expertise that are relevant to the workplace, there's the need for a stronger corporate support to further train students for the job market.
And what we think would make the conversation a bit more healthier is if we had businesses support us within this scheme to say, hey, here we are willing to take a couple of your students on internships, we are willing to invest in your infrastructure, we are willing to allow faculty support to develop cases and to use our businesses as cases. And so the corporate Ghana has a role to play in helping to cultivate a certain environment in which we will train business people to make them relevant. Otherwise, well, the universities will do what they can do. We will do the theory, and we will allow the students to come to you.
Deputy Minister for Education, John Intim Fojo, who delivered the keynote address on behalf of the sector minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, reiterated government support to reform Ghana's education sector.
I know that Ghana has a bright future, and indeed, we need to be able to be transforming not only the public sector, but the private sector. These two work hand in hand. Education plays a very important role, and we are poised to ensure that the feedback we are receiving from you will work on them. Innovations that are very possible are also invested into.
Pro Vice Chancellor, Academic and Student Affairs, Professor Daniel Frimpong, borrowed the lyrics of some Ghanaian artists to advise students and lecturers of the university.
I'm going to choose my message from 3 Ghanaian dancehall artists. So from the college, I can assure you that my mind day for you and my heart beats for you. And from Black Sheriff, Kona Kubi Sasemi, guy name Yesen. And finally, from Kevin Boy, I fall down flat. Students would like you to bring your mind and heart to what we teach. Because if you don't do that, those in town won't feel you. And that's also from another dancehall artist. And if they don't feel you, the questions they ask are, what do they teach you at Legon? They don't teach you anything. And as for falling down flat, it means that we want you to commit yourself completely. And then for those of us who also teach and do research and produce the students, let's also fall down flat, because sometimes our students complain that they don't feel us enough.
The annual celebration was under the theme, The Future of Business Education in Ghana, Building Effective Public Sector Institutions and Health System, in partnership with Joy Business.
The 2022 edition of the International Coconut Festival, organized by the Africa Coconut Group and the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GEPA, has been launched at the Elembele in the Western region with a renewed government promise to develop the coconut industry and make it a significant and reliable revenue source. The second edition aims at exploring ways of expediting growth of the sector by adding value to the raw materials produced from coconut. Our correspondent Natalia Kwanzaa has more in the following report.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Efua Asabia Asari, disclosed government's plans to provide adequate support for investors to set up coconut processing factories under the One District, One Factory initiative. According to her, since the arrival of the Akufo-Addo government in 2017, her outfit has committed significant resources to the coconut industry.
It is also intended to emphasize government's industrialization agenda and to push forward the One District, One Factory initiative by encouraging more companies to set up coconut processing factories in the districts and thereby creating more successful companies. GEPA has made a modest but quite significant investment in the sector since 2017 by procuring and distributing disease-tolerant coconut seedlings to coconut farmers across the major coconut farming regions in the country. So far, we have distributed close to 700,000 seedlings, covering some 11,200 acres. We are not relenting on our efforts until we get to the point where the industry is mature and can be on its own.
Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Afriye Akoto, Regional Director of MOFA Patrick Akowa, recalled how the Central and Western regions in the past witnessed the springing up of the several industries such as Winiko fibers. He added that coconut was the only tree with every part utilized from the roots to the leaves, but yet to be fully exploited in Ghana.
Due to its greatness adaptability comparative to other crops, coconut can be cultivated in 11 out of the 16 regions of Ghana under rain-fed conditions, that is, with the exception of the 5 northern regions. Until the devastation of the coconut sector in the mid-80s, the Cape St. Paul wilt disease, which destroyed over 11,000 hectares of coconut tree in Ghana, it was the golden tree. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture will not renege its support to the coconut sector, but continue until its full potential is realized to the benefit of the people of Ghana and, most importantly, coconut value chain actors.
The 2021-2022 African National Best Farmer, Solomon Kojokusi, is of the view that attention should be given to educating farmers and the youth on the current breed of coconuts in Ghana.
Every time a season. This old products, I think it has come to an end. Now there's a hybrid which resists the disease and the system and the weather. So I think it's better the authorities come together and educate our farmers and our people in the region, at least to let them know that the current breed we have can resist the disease and stay in the region, so that the youth or the farmers will show interest and start planting them again.
The Western Regional Minister, Kobna Treda Komensa, who chaired the lunch, believed that the next International Coconut Festival should be held in the region to showcase its potential in coconut oil, fertilizer, and activated carbons production. For Joy Business, in Athalia Kwanza, Western Region.
And that's how we end Prime Business tonight. We have more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Beverly Broohm. We'll leave you with international news on the international front.